in a world with 58,000 board games, Puerto Rico has to be one of the most blandest games I have played in a very long time.
We're going to talk about the great game debate, baby. This is something we do every show. We take a great game, or maybe we have a great debate about a so-so game, but something's great in the segment, either the debate or the game. Hopefully both this time. But the game this time is Puerto Rico. In case you haven't heard of it, it plays from 3 to 5 players in about 2 hours, probably less. It's designed by Andreas Seyfarth. And in Puerto Rico, players assume the roles of colonial governors on the island of, you guessed it, Puerto Rico. The aim of the game is to amass victory points, shocker, by shipping goods to Europe and by constructing buildings. And it's a classic. People love this game. Andy, I think, is one of those people, but we'll find out as we send it around the board and see what everybody thinks, starting with Old Man Chris. What say you, Chris?
All right. Yeah, so this was like the first big new game when I started. Because when we started, it was late 90s, like 99, basically, when my group kind of started. And so Catan had been out for a couple of years, but it really would kind of just hit the US and was really making big waves at that point. So we played Catan for a while. And then a couple of years later, that's when Puerto Rico came out. And that was like I said, it was the first big new game. And I remember when the game first came out, I was like, I feel really dumb. Like the game made me feel really stupid. It felt so unbelievably complex. It was so hard for me to understand the different jobs and how, oh yeah, well, if I take it, like I would think like, oh, they took that, so I don't get to do it. And then it gets to my turn, I'm like, oh, I do get to do it. Wait, but how? And it's looking back, I don't understand. It makes me feel even more dumb right now thinking about how dumb I felt at the time. But yeah. I still really like it. That mechanism of choosing the jobs and everyone gets to do it, but you get a bonus. That's still used today. It's even used in a lot of games. Recently, it's been used in Terraforming Mars Ares Edition, which I just recently played, and that is fantastic. I no longer need to play the original Terraforming Mars ever again. But anyways, back to the game at hand, Puerto Rico. Yeah, and so that was difficult enough, and then trying to understand like getting the goods and the values of the different goods. Corn's really good for shipping, but useless for selling and all the different stuff. And I understand how some people say it shows its age these days, and I guess I can't absolutely deny it, but I will always, at least at this moment, I still feel it's a very good game. Sure, it shows a little age, like it said, but it's a very good game. I like all the different aspects. We actually just recently played it, and the shipping and the selling the goods and everything like that, it plays clean, plays simple, especially now in this day and age, based on how complex games have come. This one's actually fairly reasonably easy to explain to new people, or not new people, people who have played games for a long time. It's very simple, and so you can get it to the table quickly. It's not hard to explain. Everyone enjoys it. So yeah, it's still a very highly ranked game for me. It's got to be in my top 50. I don't know where it's going to be at, but it's got to be in my top 50. And I would still rate it. Not 15, correct. 15. But it's got to be at least an 8 for me still. So yeah, I absolutely love it. Andy, what do you think?
Yeah, thanks. I actually, you took all my talking points, almost every single stinking one. I remember, same as you, I came of age playing Settlers of Catan and Carcassonne, and actually one of the earliest games I played was Vegas Showdown. But I love these games, and I still love these games. And then Puerto Rico came into my life, and I remember thinking, holy crap, this is so complex. This is so much. I'll never be able to figure this out. And now I look at it and go, this is really not that complex. It's cool. It's a fun game. I will say that over the years, I feel like there's kind of like a tried and true path to victory, at least with the original base game. I haven't played the expansions, which I don't know how they changed that. I guess they've just added some buildings and stuff. It's been a while since I know they've had the expansions around for a long time, but I played the original to death, and I did feel like there was some ways to maybe kind of like, for instance, for me, I remember if I could get corn early and just do a lot of shipping and kind of monopolize the captain and stuff like that, there's a way to get victory points, and you could kind of push the game to an end quicker by doing so. So it felt maybe, I wouldn't say broken, but it didn't feel like there were equal paths to victory, of which there were many. So maybe that's my only complaint over it, but still a great game. And yeah, I love the role selection. I love the mechanics that were original to it that have been implemented in many games since. There is a version of it that combines Puerto Rico and Race for the Galaxy, and I can't remember the name of it for the life of me right now.
San Juan.
No, it's not San Juan. San Juan's a card game version. This is like Puerto Rico in space. It's all the iconography from Race for the Galaxy.
Last Frontiers.
Last Frontiers, thank you, which is a lot of fun, actually. I like that one. In fact, that may be actually more fun than Puerto Rico. So I don't know, but good games. The running joke that we always had is, the little tokens that you place were colonists, and we always I refer to them as this. You'll appreciate this, Daniel, because of all your mispronunciations. I used to refer to them as columnists.
So they're writing about it.
We pretended they were little newspaper editors
Yes,
or something
there
that
you
were placing out on the island. So columnists.
Nice. I did not have a history with Puerto Rico. The first time I played it was probably 5 years ago, and then I played it 2 years ago, and then I played it about 3 days ago. No, it was about 2 weeks. No, it's 3 weeks ago now. Doesn't matter. The point is, the game is a solid meh. Like, in a world with 58,000 board games, Puerto Rico has to be one of the most blandest games I have played in a very long time. It's as like bland as an Amish guy eating a rice cake. I mean, there's no flavor to this. There's no anything to this. There's no flair. And I understand that maybe, 20 years ago when it was created, there might have been a lot of validity to what it brought to the hobby. And there's some really interesting, the I pick, everyone else follows mechanic is super clever. And there's a lot of games that implemented that and implemented it better. Some of those games are Ark Nova, Roll for the Galaxy, Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. Now, Ark Nova didn't do the I pick, everyone follows, but it kind of gives you that same, you have these 5 actions and when are you going to do it and everything like that. But regardless, you got this simple engine building game. You have like 8 buildings to choose from. So like every game probably is going to feel the same. And actually Andy kind of reinforced that after a while, you kind of just get in a groove with one strategy. And I totally see that. I don't feel like there was enough options. I think this is for me, I would play it again. I think I would play it like every year, 1 year, 2 year, and I'd have an okay, good time with it. But I feel like if this was a game I played every week, I would get tired of it pretty well. There is not a lot flair. There's no flair. There's no excitement. And it's just bland. That's all I got. What about you, John?
Well, bringing it back home with me, and I think the best way I can wrap up the way I feel about Puerto Rico is with a quote from West Side Story, which Daniel claims he's a big musical lover, but he's never seen West Side Story, believe it or not. But I'll do my best here because it's a singing quote. Puerto Rico, my heart's devotion, may it sink back in the ocean. Daniel, for the most part, I agree with you. And let me also go on. You touched on the components for a second. And Andy, it doesn't matter if you call them columnists or colonists. If I say Advil tablets, people will know what they are because that's literally what they look like. These are the tiniest little round. Most pills I've taken are bigger than these. And these are what you're trying to manipulate on your board. And you're trying to manipulate them on buildings, which are really just, well, let me see. Is this, oh yes, I know it's a warehouse because you know what? In complete typewritten font, it says small warehouse. It's the same size as the large warehouse, but it says small warehouse on it. That's how I know it's a building. Otherwise it's just a cardboard chit. And that's just the beginning. It's an ugly game and it looks like, I agree. Also, every game's going to pretty much feel the same. It has the cool action selection, which I can understand, especially when it came out, was probably a huge deal. But if you're going to play this game, yeah, play something else, because it's been re-implemented better many times. And I also see how it's going to have a nostalgia factor. I love to play Catan still. I understand if people don't like to, because there's a lot better area majority or whatever type of games out there, but it holds a spot in my heart. But I'm sorry, Puerto Rico. I'll play it again because it's a nice little game to pass the time, what have you. And it really doesn't take that long, but it's not something I'm going to keep coming back to. Definitely not something I'm going to own. Funny thing is, I had said earlier on a show that I'd played it before. I was mistaken, I guess. I'm one of those other ugly games with a city name. I think I might have been thinking of Istanbul. It's the one with the guy like this.
Yeah,
that's on the cover.
Yeah.
Makes Hansa look very attractive. So I think that might have been the one that I actually played, because then we sat down, okay, let's refresh my memory on Puerto Rico. What is this going on? So now I've actually played it, and I'm none too impressed. So
I will say, and by the way, I wanted to boo you, but I decided not to because I'm being
really
nice.
Yeah. Well, you got
but
Daniel.
Here's the deal. I can get what you like. Yeah, I'm with you in that it's a little dated maybe, but it has a huge nostalgia factor for me. And honestly, still playing it with people that know it well, it's still entertaining, because if we know it well, we all know that there is a route to go to maybe win the game easier. So we're all battling for that route. So there still is competition there. It's maybe not a game I like playing with people that haven't played it as much as I have, though.
And that's what I was about to jump in with, how like we kind of talked about how, if you get corn early, then stuff like that. It's a game that's, I mean, again, nostalgia and the way I played, we played it a million times is also the reason that I'm a person that I want to play the same game over and over and over. I don't want to play just game once, because that's how I started, because we didn't have that many games to play. But with that said, specifically, like, that game is one of those games where, okay, I see John starting to go this direction, so I'm going to go this other way. Like, there's 4 or 5 different strategies, and when you see someone doing one, you just got to pick another one and go. So that doesn't play well, like Andy's saying, with people who haven't played before and don't know the game. Yes, that can make it kind of uninteresting, but if everyone knows the game and plays it, it's actually very interesting on this chess match early on of, oh, you're doing that, well then I'm going to do this, and then and so forth.
Well, and it's another game that, as you know it well, you can play defensively a little bit, and
Right.
And one of my favorite things to do at the table that you can do that Daniel despises, and that is actually, like, negotiate and kind of talk a little bit. Like, we can talk about the fact that, look at this, he's got all this corn, he's going to be shipping soon, we got to stop him.
Well, no, that's fine. You're the one that usually has an issue with that. What are you talking about? I just don't want negotiation. I don't want to say, oh, Andy, you do shipping and I'll do this. And you're like, okay. And then you do something else. Like, that's the type of game that I don't want to play. If we're going to talk about something, you better stick to it, unless it's that kind of game where you're backstabbing and stuff.
Every game's a backstabbing game.
Yeah. But
Well,
I wanted to hint on
ahead.
what Chris said about this game being interesting the more you play it, because I think that reinforces my idea of that this is a game it's an old game and it belongs in the past. No one's gonna pick up Puerto Rico for the first time and go, you know what, this is a really cool game, let me play it 10 times so I can fully understand and appreciate all the nuance of this game.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna play this game once and you're gonna be like, what was that about? Like, really? This is the game? It's like if you go ahead and watch Citizen Kane today, you're gonna be like, all right, I guess
the
that was
best
good
movie
for
ever?
its time, but is it really exactly.
So-
this game has not aged well. It is rested
no one's
on its
gonna do-
laurels.
No one's going to do that, Daniel, because that's the day and age we live in, where you play the game one time.
Yeah.
You don't
has
play
one
it over
chance
and
to
over. It
make an
doesn't matter.
impression.
There's no game they're going to pick up and be like, oh, I'm going to play this over and over, because that's where the community is.
Nah, they'll play
Not
it over
true.
and over again, but it has to be impressive and it has to hit hard. And
It
has
is
to hit
impressive.
on-
It's
and it
still
has to
impressive.
hit.
If you don't know anything about gaming, it's very impressive.
Well, Andy, you said your favorite part about the game. My favorite part of the game was scooping it all back up and putting it back in the box. But you let us know what you think about Puerto Rico and what your favorite part of the game is by commenting down below. And if you like what we're saying, or even if you don't like what we're saying, but you're at least a little bit entertained, please smash the like and subscribe buttons. Like what you've seen, you'd like to see the entire episode, click on the link in the comments below.